hear me out. Piku is not just a film about constipation, okay? I mean, I know there's a lot of talk of poop, but this film, it's actually quietly revolutionary. It's slice of life storytelling at its best, with layers most people don't even notice the first time around. So today, I'm going to break down 3 underrated themes, 2 celebrated ones, and a couple of bonus insights into Shoojit Sircar's absolute gem, Piku. And no, I won't make toilet jokes, unless, of course, it's absolutely necessary. Hey, I warned you. One of Piku's most powerful yet underrated achievements is how it normalizes caregiving, especially without turning it into melodrama. Piku, played with grace and grit by Deepika Padukone, is a successful independent woman looking after her hypochondriac aging father Bhaskar. But she's not your typical sacrificing woman trope. She's annoyed, she's short-tempered, exhausted, and yet deeply committed. It's honest, it's messy, it's real. We rarely see female characters in Indian cinema being caregivers without being glorified or pitied. This isn't about selflessness. It's about love expressed in grocery lists, arguments about salt intake, and keeping track of someone else's digestion schedule while trying to run your own life. And let's be real, Piku's cortisol levels are probably through the roof. That woman is managing an office, a house, and a human being, all without a moment to breathe. What Deepika Padukone brings to Piku was a performance we'd never seen her do before. And she was so convincing. And I think when you tell women to smile all the time and almost trivialize all of their troubles, well, this character actually takes that and throws it out of the window. Piku is quietly hilarious, not because it tries to be funny, but because life is absurd. A 70-year-old man is obsessed with his bowels, a daughter juggling conference calls while tracking fiber intake, a road trip derailed by arguments over digestion. It's the comedy of the mundane, the kind of "are you serious right now" moments that we all go through, but we barely see reflected in Indian cinema. No punchlines, no laugh track, just lived-in humor found in traffic, tantrums, and of course, toilets. And here's the thing, Piku doesn't have a grand revelation, like no one changes dramatically. Bhaskar stays eccentric and obsessive, Piku stays exhausted but loyal. And life simply goes on. There is no big climax or no forced resolution, and that's the point, right? Sometimes the power of a story lies in sitting with its characters and not in watching them suddenly transform. Piku teaches us that not all relationships get closure, and that's okay, because that's life, isn't it? Of course, we have to talk about the cast. Amitabh Bachchan as Bhaskar is chaotic brilliance, ranting about property, paranoia, organic vegetables, and of course his bowel movements with such conviction that you forget he's acting. As I said, Deepika is phenomenal, restrained, grounded, and endlessly believable. She holds the film's emotional center while never letting it turn melodramatic. And honestly, she's never looked more bong. I mean, I tried with my Alana today. And then there's, of course, Irfan Khan as Rana, the reluctant chauffeur who gets mistaken constantly for a chauffeur/caretaker. He's the owner, but he constantly gets ridiculed for being a driver. But he also is the outsider with an inside view. His sarcasm, impeccable. His silences, loud. His chemistry with Deepika, subtle yet shimmering. Together, they make Piku feel like life and not a performance. When I rewatched Piku, I realized there's another point about this Bengali film that's actually in Hindi, and just the way it portrays Bengal, not with cliches or postcards, but with authenticity. If you think about it, Piku is perhaps one of those only Bengali films that doesn't have a Durga Puja montage. Neither does it have any forced accents. Just the food, the family dynamics, the quiet chaos of Kolkata, and Anupam Roy's music tying it all together with an indie softness that almost never manipulates your emotions. And I kind of like that. I hate it when the music tells me how to feel. And I think that Piku does well because it doesn't. This, according to me, is cultural storytelling done right. Specific, sincere, and never performative. Rana Chaudhary is the unsung center of Piku. Irfan doesn't act to impress. He listens, he absorbs. He gives the chaos around him something to lean on. And he isn't there to fix anyone. He just is. In many ways, Rana represents us, the viewer, navigating the mess, trying to understand these absolutely complicated people, and doing so with a quiet empathy. I think Irfan had this rare gift in himself. He made the silences feel heard. In case you've reached until here with the video and you've never watched Piku before, this is a good time to warn you that what comes up next is a spoiler. So in case this is enough, leave. Otherwise, if you watch the film, stay on. Then comes the gut punch no one talks about enough. Bhaskar's death. There's no drama. There's no hospital scene. Just a quiet knock on the door the morning after Piku's had a huge confrontation with Bhaskar. Does she feel guilty about the fact that her last conversation with her father was this heavy? Well, you never find out, because after that, you just see her going through the motions. What happens after is just the regularity of the wake of a death. She goes through it like any of us would go through it, and that's why Piku works. Because at that time, I don't think most of us are dramatic. We're just trying to get through the day. But I have to talk about Bhaskar and his parenting. Of course, he's overbearing, and of course, he sabotages every relationship that Piku could have possibly been in. But there's something radical about his worldview. He doesn't believe marriage is necessary for his daughter.
अपना identity, अपना knowledge, respect, brain, सब साथ फेरा लेते टाइम आज में झोंक कर अपना life lead करना is a low IQ decision. I don't want Piku to take that decision.
You know, on one hand, it's easy to write this off as selfishness, but what if it's something deeper? What if Bhaskar actually believes that women don't need men to complete their lives? In a cinematic landscape where aging parents pressure daughters to settle down, Bhaskar is the opposite. He trusts Piku. He depends on her, not because she's a woman, because she's capable. And yes, while caregiving often falls on women in Indian households, Piku, I think, reclaims that narrative. It doesn't glorify that burden. It simply reflects it. And by putting a woman at the center of that labor, I think Shoojit Sircar quietly rebalances the scales. I do want to give lots of credit to Juhi, the writer of the film, because I don't know how she could have imagined this if she was a man. 10 years later, Piku hits even harder. Maybe it's because I'm 10 years older. Maybe it's because my own parents are 10 years older now. Suddenly, the things that once felt quirky now feel real. The silences sting. The sighs hit home. The caregiving, all too familiar. And that is Piku's magic. This film actually ages with you. It reflects your own evolving life back at you. It deepens with time. And if you're watching it now, as it returns to the theaters, prepare to bawl all over again if you didn't bawl and just laugh the first time around. So yeah, Piku is a film that talks about digestion, but really, it's about everything we hold in. Emotions, responsibilities, grief, and sometimes even dinner. It reminds us that family isn't about grand gestures. It's just about showing up every single day for those people who annoy the hell out of you and whom you love beyond any reason. I spoke to Shoojit recently, for the impending re-release of the film, and I told him that his film made me bawl all over again 10 years later. And he said, my God,
this film is not supposed to make you cry. This film is supposed to make you smile, actually.
But that's the weird relationship that I share with this film. While everybody looks at it as a film that is a comedy, it's about constipation and poop and toilet jokes, Piku's always been such a poignant film for me. Maybe because it has these hugely philosophical lines, like the one that Deepika Padukone tells Irfan.
Rana के एज के बाद पेरेंट्स अपने आप जिंदा नहीं रह पाते, उनको जिंदा रखना पड़ता है, और वो जिम्मेदारी बच्चों का ही है. I think this line hits so hard, especially because even today, if you look at Piku, it's a very modern and progressive film. But does modernity and progress mean that we forget the ones who raised us? I think it does this so beautifully and intersects
tradition with modernity, still keeping the zimmedari intact.
Maybe this is the way forward. इसी को लोग डेवलपमेंट बोलते हैं. बट अपनी रूट्स अगर उनको उखाड़ दो तो क्या बचेगा?
I hope you enjoyed this very delayed review of Piku, and I think that's what this recommendation segment is turning out to be. But I truly believe that films, stay with you and grow with you, and it's much richer as an exercise just for me to revisit a film, put down my thoughts, and share them with you, my lovely audience at Just Too Filmy. Of course, we'll be back next week, and in case you have a recommendation of a film that you'd like us to watch and talk about, and of course tell the entire world, we'd love to do that right here. We're Just Too Filmy on YouTube. Please hit subscribe because it would mean the world to me and all of these cute films that we love. See you next time. Bye.